Welcome to Off Deadline. I'm Melissa Dijon-Filippo, and I am so excited about my guest today, Jaime Cerreta. Thank you, Jaime, for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Jaime Cerreta is an Emmy Award-winning journalist with 26 years of experience and whose family's roots run deep in the Valley of the Sun. Her career has taken her across the U.S. before returning to Arizona in 2013 to join Arizona's family. She has reported from the heart of hurricanes, blizzards, and massive monsoon dust storms. Currently anchoring weekday afternoons, she's well known for her passion project, Jaime's Local Love, now celebrating its 10th year, showcasing Arizona entrepreneurs. Her connection to local business runs in her blood. Her family has operated Cerreta Candy Company in Glendale for over 50 years. I'm so grateful that you're here with us today,
Thank
Jaime.
you so much for having me.
Yeah.
I mean, you too have been in this market for 20-something years, doing what you love as well.
20
so it's
years.
great to be with you.
And it's nice to have, someone who's a fellow storyteller. And I've watched you on TV for as long as I can remember. So,
thank you.
And I found out recently we both graduated from the same high school.
Yeah, go Firebird,
Small
Chaparral.
world.
I
Yep.
always say good things come out of Chaparral.
Well, I really appreciate you being here, and I'm going to jump right in.
Yeah, please do.
Wonderful. So I'd like to know first, why did you choose journalism as a career, and how did you even get your start?
So I have two stories for that. One, as a kid, I loved Radio Shack. Like, I was a teenager who wanted my dad to take me to Radio Shack so I could look at the microphones and the amplifiers. I remember as a little girl, I had one of those microphones that was connected to the radio, AM radio, and I didn't know what to say. And then I also, at Chaparral, watched Channel 1 News. And I remember seeing Lisa Ling on a snowmobile, and she was telling stories in wild places. And I thought, how do I do that? I'd like to do that.
Wow.
So I just always gravitated to the microphone. I always said that, I grew up in a candy factory, and it was the paging system, the microphone and the paging system. So I'm a kid in the candy factory, but I wanted to use the mic.
That's so cool.
So I think the technology really, as a kid, I gravitated to the technology and then started to learn what that meant, that I would need a story to tell, to use that technology that I was attracted to.
Wow, that's so cool. And I want you to touch a little bit on the Cerreta Candy Company and how, was there any push for you to be a part of that business, and how did that affect, your decision making and your family's interest in your career path?
So my grandfather started the candy factory. A lot of people don't know that the Cerretas and the Coils are related, like Mary Coyle ice cream.
Oh,
so
interesting.
My mom and dad, during a brief time, managed the Mary Coyle ice cream on Indian School where Beckett's Table is.
Oh, yeah.
So I remember tap dancing for customers while my mom and dad are serving up ice cream at Mary Coyle. And my grandfather moved down here from Canton, Ohio to Phoenix because the Coyles were down here doing well in ice cream. So he brought the family down. My dad started that business with his father, went into the Army, was drafted during Vietnam era, came back, went back to the candy factory, and it's been a family business and successful ever since. So proud of that. And also that's where I get my passion for these people who build something that's cool in the community. Yeah. They're following their passion. They're creating opportunities for the community where how many school field trips came through?
My daughter went in 5th grade. My next one will go next year, yeah.
And it's just so neat that they get to do something that is fun, that's fun to be around, and then to contribute to community, to volunteer, to give back. So that's what was really special to me. But my parents always just said, we want you to build out your dream. You are going to college. Yeah. You're going to choose what you want to do. You're making your decisions for your life. So they were very, very, very determined for me to get my education and to pursue what I wanted to do, whatever that was.
Oh, those are great parents.
They are.
Yeah,
I know.
That's wonderful.
My mom and dad. They're awesome.
Good. Well, thank you. So looking back at your career so far, what's one story that fundamentally changed how you see journalism, or even your life itself?
Well, as you read my bio, I feel like Mother Nature, she wanted to whip me around a little bit. I got stuck in a blizzard a couple different times. It was the first time that I went viral was during that haboob dust storm here in Phoenix. And that was a year into my experience here. It's hard to move to your hometown and then try to do what you wanted to do because you have to get out of your own head. The nerves are over the top. If I was in another city, I wouldn't have had the nerves that I did here because I felt like everyone I knew was watching. They probably weren't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
But in my head, they were. And that was a lot of pressure. So that dust storm experience that went viral was pretty interesting because that it kind of like made me relax a little bit and gave me that moment. But I think that from my first job in Joplin, Missouri, covering tornadoes, and then moving to Beaumont, Texas, and covering hurricanes, just the resiliency of people. I have a true belief that people can overcome ridiculously incredible, horrific experiences that we should never have to experience.
Yeah.
But the way people can bounce back and overcome and keep moving forward, and the fact that these heartbreaking situations don't physically kill you is so like inspiring. And I just really love the human spirit. And I think as a journalist, I realize it's more about the human experience that I find so interesting. And then on my podcast too, just listening to these business owners tell their stories of how they got there, why they got there, these different roadblocks that maybe someone else said, who moved my cheese? I'm going another direction. But they plowed through that wall.
Yeah.
So I think just the human spirit and resilience has been something that I have just taken with me and makes me see, when I see that wall, well, it doesn't mean I have to go around it. I might just go through this thing.
Yep, that's a great perspective. And I want to hit on something you just said about like that feeling that everyone's watching you that you know.
Yeah.
How did you get out of your own way with that? And was it something that, took years? Was it something that you just woke up one day and you were like, I'm doing my thing and I don't care what anyone else thinks?
I think it had to come down to just getting used to being uncomfortable and not letting that deter what I knew I could do, because I knew I could shine. I knew I could do things in my weird, quirky Jaime Cerreta way that maybe someone else has their own style. And so I needed to just shed that. And one thing that Good Morning Arizona will do is train you how to answer what's the latest on the fire investigation, and also who are you dating right now?
Yeah, right? How awkward when your whole life's in the public eye.
I mean, but we have those conversations and we tease each other on air. I came here with 14 years on air experience, but I'd never been asked questions about my personal life on TV and in a joking, silly, happy way, the way you are on Good Morning Arizona.
Yeah.
So you really just learn, you know what? Forget it. I'm just going all in. Watch this.
Take off the shield.
Yeah, it's just happening. I don't have to be a reporter anymore. I don't have to be an anchor anymore. I just need to be Jaime Cerreta in my hometown covering the news.
I love
Period.
that. That's such a good lesson for anyone in any career, just to get comfortable, like being themselves and step into that. And I think people are so held back with fear of judgment, and it holds them back from doing great things like being an amazing news anchor, so.
Well, in the beginning years, you're taught many things. You dress like this, you wear your pearls, you have the bob, I plucked your eyebrows a certain way. I mean, the micromanagement of the physical, and then how are we performing? And then how are we writing? So there's so many different elements that go into it that you are kind of trained how to fit in the mold. And then once you get there and have all those tools, okay, I'm not distracting, because you don't never want to distract from the story. You don't want anything, your physical, nothing, to distract from the story. So now I can start playing. I've got all those down. Now I can start playing and enjoying. And then, of course, on Arizona's Family, we're a little more fun. We definitely let the personality show. And then we have people who've been there for so long, which shows kind of, it is a family vibe over there.
Yeah, that's awesome. So every journalist faces moments of doubt, I'm sure. Can you share a time when you reached a professional crossroads and how you navigated that?
I was in Springfield, Missouri. I was a morning anchor. I'd never been a morning anchor. I was producing my show. I'd never produced my show. I was doing it alone. I woke up at 10:30 to David Letterman's monologue at night. Got up, got ready, went in at midnight, produced my show, was listening to scanners. I was in the newsroom by myself. No one else was there for several hours. So I had no guidance, and I sucked at all. I was a terrible producer. I was a terrible anchor. I was rolling my own teleprompter. If I had an interview that I booked, I was trying to time my interview while asking questions, and and
that's hard. Let's just talk about like this. This is hard. Like
it was hard, and I was bad at all of it. And I remember thinking, and I wasn't sleeping either, because obviously my hours were crazy. I remember my girlfriend would call me and leave a message on the answering machine. Jamie, get up. It's time to go out and play. I'm like, ugh, don't make me. And I was probably 23 years old. And my skin had like gray undertone. And I just thought, God, I must really want to do this, because I didn't want to quit. I was just like, I must really want to do this. And that's what I tell people about this business, because you sacrifice a lot. You move to whatever town will hire you. You're grateful they'll take you. How many holidays I signed up for, because that was my opportunity to anchor. And you don't get to make a lot of the decisions that people get to make, especially now in like this digital world. People get to decide, oh, I think I'm going to take my laptop over to Beginner's Luck. I'm like, I'm gonna mention a local place.
Perfect.
Beginner's Luck, and sit on the patio. I'm gonna do my work there. What a great! But we're tied to that studio, which is a beautiful gift. But I tell people, you have to want to do it so badly, and then the payout is incredible, I think.
And I heard on another interview you did on Local Love, you start out making nothing in
15,000.
Yeah, 15,000.
Yeah, and then I did a good job, so I made 15,500.
Yeah, which is bonkers. But it's not like you're in this profession for big money. You're in it for a love of the news and truth and storytelling. And it pays off, I'm sure, in so many ways. But wow, like what a sacrifice.
Yeah, I think that people ask me, what else would you do? And the only thing I could come up with while walking the beach in Rocky Point with a girlfriend, I said I'd be on TV talking about animals, because I do love animals. But I love people, and I love their stories. And I just think that to have the opportunity to be behind, the access-only doors. We get to be behind the doors, and we get to be in those rooms, and we get to come out and tell you what happened. And one thing I really enjoyed about COVID is that those live news conferences, like you watch. This is what we attend every day. We would attend the health news conference, and we would tell you what happened today. Well, if you have a question, now we have so much access to information, you can watch. What did you get out of that? What did you think the highlights were? And so I think that just being on those rooms, it's such a privilege. And in this day and age, I just really have to credit local journalism, because our local journalists in our newsrooms are having decisions every single day, making sure things are fair, they're truthful, they're unbiased. And I can tell you, I've never been in a newsroom where someone told me what to say as far as that kind of situation.
That's great.
They always made sure, did we get the other side? Are we properly presenting this? And there are a lot of conversations happening in newsrooms about that.
Yeah, that's hugely important, and something I don't think the average news watcher understands.
Well, I think, during COVID, they were watching one station or the other. Network, I should say, not station. They're watching network. And, I always think it's a good idea to get all the sides, and then in the local newsrooms, that is our job.
Yep, absolutely. That's great. What reporting experience brought you the most pure joy or satisfaction in your career so far?
I mean, there's so many silly things that we've done on GMAZ where you're like, I can't believe I'm being paid right now. I mean, just the fact that we get to go into people's homes and go into people's works and just kind of poke around. Delightfully nosy. But I think GMAZ Field Trip Friday is just one of the best things. I love it as a viewer. I'm a huge Good Morning Arizona fan. I have been. I used to watch. I remember watching Jody Applegate. She was one of the first Good Morning Arizona anchors, and she was like making a fart noise or joking. And I remember being a kid going,
she can do that on TV?
Yes, that's exactly. Well, wait, I would love to be able to tell information and do it in a fun way, and when appropriate, entertain, because I think that's so important that people plug into the community, and that's one thing that we do on GMAZ. So like a silly day on GMAZ would be one day, it's funny because it's like, as a reporter, it's a split shift. So you cover the early morning doing some very hard news, and then I call it the windshield wiper, and then all of a sudden I am putting on a scuba suit and swimming with sharks. And then I'm back at the station, rinsing off in the shower we have, and then anchoring the noon. It's just such an interesting day. And I think the things that we get pure joy out of, and I always say that there needs to be an Emmy for this, that you won't believe what happened today. And we still made it on air. So we did our 3 p.m. show that we started almost 2 years ago. that I get to anchor. It's a hybrid show. So it's we hit the news, we hit the headlines, but we get you a lot of community news, which of course is kind of my passion, and plugging people in, giving people resources, information that they can utilize in their life. So we took the show to Wickenburg just for fun. And we had this whole thing set up, and we're shooting all day. We've got like 4 or 5 different people coming in for the community. I'm looking at the camera setups, and our camera is not working. Our main one that has the teleprompter and everything else. And my reporter, Michaela, she works on our show. She grew up here in town too. And she's got her MMJ camera, which is a smaller camera. And I see like a lot of jostling going on, and it's 2 minutes out. And I've got my computer, and I'm looking around. I'm like, is this going to happen?
That feeling, I can't even imagine.
Is this going to happen? And I heard go, and then I tried to look at the one with the teleprompter, because of course that's the one you want, right? And they're like, no, other camera, Michaela's camera. I go to Michaela, all right. So I'm just kind of winging it, and it was one of those things where you thought, are we really on television? Is this happening? Yes, Jamie, it's happening. You're live. Go ahead, keep going. And it was, and then the show ended with the running of the horses, because they released the horses to go back to the I don't know, to the ranch or whatever.
Stable or wherever.
Yeah, wherever the horses go to eat dinner at the end of the day. And they released the horses, and we got the shot and the drone shot and this gorgeous like end shot where one of my producers back at the station said there was a tear in my eye. I'm like, I can't believe like that 1 hour can be so filled with chaos and fun and information, and just you feel like you're living on the edge.
Yeah, and it's live.
And
so
it's
it's not like
no takebacks.
Yeah, I mean that's got to be a crazy feeling, like an adrenaline rush and like fear and excitement all at the same time.
All of it.
I love that. And one time you talked about some crazy situation where you went underwater welding.
Oh yes.
And like you could have died by like touching one thing or something. And like you're always like a red button pusher.
Yeah, this is true. Thank you for reading all my notes. It was another GMAZ assignment that I probably would. I realized that I would do things for live TV that I would never do for real. Like no, I can
you're
pass
not a welder,
on that experience.
Right? Like
I can pass on that. Do you want to do it for fun? I'll pass on it. But someone else was supposed to do it, and then the assignments got rearranged, and then I am, and I'm totally uncomfortable. Just trying to take deep breaths and think about what we're going to have to do. And I had to put that big helmet situation on. And of course, once again, I'm in a normal day at work. I'm in another scuba outfit.
Just an average day.
And I think I pretty much just squeaked through the whole thing. I was squealing and squeaking and overexcited and trying really hard to like keep my hands so I don't touch anything and die on my live shot today.
That's crazy.
It was crazy.
I mean, who gets to do that kind of stuff like on a daily basis? You wake up and you're like, I guess I'm doing this today.
And that's where you're just like, I chose the right business.
Yeah.
This is a hoot. It's so too much fun.
Yeah. Is there a story or a moment from your career that still weighs on you or just keeps you up at night for some reason?
I think that when I was in Oklahoma City, we had a case of a young girl who was murdered. And I just feel like some of the details are a little gruesome.
Yeah.
And during that time, one of my reporters was covering it in court every single day. And the details were bad, and the little girl's name was Jamie. And to say your own name in a weird space on television when the camera's looking at you, it's just weird. And it was, I actually looked it up. I think he recently got put to death, this man, like in December. So
this is long. Jeez.
And I looked across the room. I saw one of my buddies. He had been in court every day. We locked eyes. His like skin color, he went white. And I just ran over and hugged him, and we both just started crying. The details you have to hear, and this is where I think it's so important that we get justice and those stories be told. People say sometimes, why you cover this bad news? It's bad news, but that's someone's life, that's someone's sister, that's someone that family deserves justice. And this story needs to be told until that person who did that thing is given justice.
Yeah.
So it's the good and the bad. But all of it, I think, is extremely meaningful. Mm-hmm. And if that family didn't get that attention and get that media attention year after year, that they will make sure this story is told and this little girl's legacy is told.
Yeah.
It's very important work, and we take it with much importance, and we treat it as such.
Yeah, I can't even imagine like having to report on some of the things, whether it's something like that or a car accident or, you know, anything that's negative. It just must impact and weigh on you more than anyone could know. Because as a viewer, I'll tell you, like, the feeling's not good, right? Like, not because I don't want to hear the news, but because it's like, this is the world we live in. So I can't even imagine like being there and having to like ask a family tough questions or in a moment of grief and balancing the like need to know the information with the like humanity that you want.
That's where I've just learned to be myself.
Yeah.
We all know why I'm there. You guys know why I'm here. I work with the station. Do you guys want to talk? Here's my card if you want to. You know, we want to tell, we want to honor your girl. We want to make sure that people know about her. If you have any pictures you want to send me, you know, so we don't keep showing that one that the cops have. I don't know, maybe it's not the cutest one. You probably have a better one of her. However we can help. I mean, that's what we would ultimately like to do, is help the family through that as we can. Yeah,
well, I know like that is hard work, and I just want to say thank you for doing that hard work, because it can't feel good every day when you have to do that kind of stuff. Yeah. Can you share a time when your most impactful work happened behind the scenes, maybe in ways that the audience would never have known?
I think I really love sharing my experiences with our younger people at work. I really love, I don't want to say mentoring, but being their friend. I love being their friend. I love sharing the stories of where I've been and how I handled them and how I wish I handled it this way and not that way. And I think that it's so fun to be where I am now, where I spent so many years climbing, wanted to be like this person, be like this person. It feels so good to just be like me and then offer other people, like, let's find you, like Jamie's Local Love has been so fulfilling for me. Let's find something for you. What do you love? Do you like, let's make a franchise for you. What, like, and just coming up with ideas for other people that can help them feel fulfilled in their work and give them, like what you mentioned about when we cover a lot of hard news, it's nice to have something that is a passion project that connects you to the community and to the good stuff. And you can have all those levels in your work, which Arizona's family allows us to pursue our passions at work, which is such a gift. So I think befriending the youth coming up, because I don't want to say mentor.
Yeah,
I really enjoy it.
Yeah, I agree. I like the befriending better than mentorship. It makes us feel maybe aged a little bit more than we
I
want.
don't even mind the age thing. I just, you know, I just think that it's fun to tell the stories of where I've been, how I handled things, and maybe gift them with how I wish I'd done it better. And hindsight's always 20/20.
Yeah, and I'm sure they feel like they're so much more grateful than they would ever be able to demonstrate, because there is a lot of, I don't know, like, it sometimes it feels hard for some people to elevate other people when maybe they're afraid like it's going to take away from their shine. And I think as women specifically, it's really important for us to show other women that like that's not a thing, and we can be supportive of each other, and it's not a competition, and there's enough to go around.
Well, the game has changed a lot, I feel, in TV news, because when I came up, it did feel like that. And I did have people who, after a fun weekend out, I got called in the boss's office because my skirt/shorts were too short. I'm like, oh my God. Okay, well, these people are my friends, so I will never hang out with them again. And I checked that skirt, and it was okay. It was shorts.
And you were off work.
And I was off
Last time I checked, right? You just said you were out at night.
So I was like, oh my God. So it was like that. And I feel like it's changed. I feel like the girls support each other now. We have this great group of girls who are all friends at work. And I sent them like a love letter one New Year's Day. And I said, I wish I had a group like you guys growing up in the business. And I have a couple, people, of course, who helped lift me up, and people here in the market who I clung on to, who helped elevate me. And I love that women are no longer gatekeeping. They're just telling their dish happily and sharing what they know.
Yeah, I think it's beautiful. I love when I see that, and I appreciate hearing that you like really make that happen. So it's great.
Fun.
Yeah. What childhood dream or obsession still influences you today in unexpected ways?
Oh my God! Don't make me talk about Raccoon Island.
Oh my God! Now I have to hear all about it.
Don't make me talk about Raccoon Island.
Raccoon Island.
I mean, I think I do love animals. I think I've never had one because I always felt like I'm too busy. I'm at work. Blah. But I love when the animals come in. And last year I went to Raccoon Island, which is, you're like, what's Raccoon
What?
Island?
Is it like the Pig Island where there's like
Yes,
all these pigs
yes.
swimming on the beach?
I mean, yeah,
Okay.
it is. And it's outside of Miami. And anyhow, of course, I rent a boat. I bought raccoon tank tops for me and my boyfriend. We arrive on the boat. I've got a sailor hat on. I'm ready to go. And the the boat captain goes, you know that they're not always there. You know that, right? And I go, huh? No. Wait.
Your heart drops.
I know. It'll be fine. I'm very lucky. And they show up and there are no raccoons. So apparently it's one of those things where it's, I went on like a Saturday when it was very, very busy, and there was a boat that had a speaker and a dance floor and all this. I should go on a Tuesday morning where the raccoons run
Like
wild.
they're like out
So it's
roaming.
still out there. So I still have yet that to accomplish. Also the cherry blossoms in DC. That's another one I went with my parents, and I'm still waiting for that to come. I got one little blossom. I missed it by a week.
I got to see it one time accidentally. I was there for a client, and it was insane. But it's
Is it
so
pretty?
quick.
Yeah.
It's just, over in like a blink, I feel like.
Yeah, you have to be ready for it. So I think I really like animals. I'm trying to think if there was something as a kid that I loved to do. But I think I was just very much still a kid at heart. I mean, I just feel like I love it when there's animals on the show. I love like the silly, just happy little things in life.
Yeah, you have that energy too about you, and even in your voice, which is I think why people love listening and watching. You even tell like stories that maybe aren't so uplifting because you just have like a youthful energy and like such a warm quality that makes you really great at your job.
No, thank you.
Yeah,
I love my job.
Good.
I really do. I just feel like it's. I'm very grateful to be in the role I'm in. So I am grateful to the people who watch me and trust me.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Okay, we're going to end with some quick rapid
All
fire
right,
questions.
here we go.
So the rules are you have to say the first thing that comes to mind.
Okay.
Okay, and just go with it.
Okay. All right.
All right. Number 1, what is your secret journalistic superpower?
Luck.
Love.
I am extremely lucky, I think.
Most bizarre place you've ever conducted an interview?
How about underwater?
That's pretty bizarre.
I think
Weird.
that's probably going to take it.
Yes.
Yeah.
A story you'd cover if your boss said unlimited budget, go wild.
Oh my gosh. I would be traveling. I would be probably on a boat with the pigs, swim with the pigs. How about something like that?
Love it. If I weren't a journalist, I'd be
Talking about animals on television.
perfect. Like
didn't discuss
who's that like guy who did all the kangaroo stuff?
It's not that Irwin, Steve Irwin.
Yeah.
Steve Irwin, that was my one of my worst stumbles on TV. I had anchored all the shows that day. It was like a holiday, and I had to say habitat, and I had a full habitat moment. So Steve, rest in peace, friend.
Oh,
friend.
gosh. What a moment, though.
I was like, how do I keep talking? I need the next word.
Most outrageous excuse you've ever used to get access to a story?
Oh, man. My sister's in there.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you, Jamie.
yeah,
This was
thank
a pleasure.
you.
Is there anything else you'd want people to know about you?
Well, I anchor the news at noon on Arizona's Family, noon to 1. I anchor the news at 3 on Arizona's Family, 3 to 4. We're very community-centric. You know that I do Local Love on Wednesdays. And I have my podcast as well. So however they can follow us, support, and also contribute, email us if you have any ideas.
Wonderful.
Thank you for having me, Melissa.
Thank you so much, Jamie.
I appreciate it.